This example extends the UIView class to enable a view to fade out and fade back in. For this demo, we'll be looking at a really simple Xcode project. Go ahead and download it from the link in the instructor's notes, and then open the project in Xcode. It's called Fade Extension Demo. In this left panel, the project navigator, click on the View Controller file. And then look for the sunrise and set method. Here inside sunrise and set, you can see that I'm using the method animateWithDuration to fade out an image view. This animation changes the view's alpha value from 1 to 0 over the duration that I pass in as a parameter here. This one is 1 second. There's also a delay parameter, so we could pass in a delay if we wanted. Under the options parameter, you'll see we've passed in curve ease in. This makes it so that the animation starts out slow and speeds up towards the end. For the completion parameter, I'm passing in some code that changes the image and then fades the view back in. Here's the code that changes the image. After the image is changed, we're using animateWithDuration again to fade the view back in. You can see that this code for fading the view back in is identical to the code that fades it out, apart from the alpha value and the completion parameter. The syntax around this completion parameter is pretty tricky, so don't worry if it doesn't make sense right now. We'll talk more about completion blocks in the next lesson on closures. I want to focus on another problem with this code. Soon I'll have another view that I'd like to fade out and fade back in, and I know I'd have to rewrite this code. That goes against my dry programming principles, but if I put this code in an extension, I can reuse it. So let's do that. Since I can't add an extension directly to the UIView's Swift file, I'll make a new Swift file and call it UIView Extensions. To add a file to the project, I just control-click on one of these folders over here in the Project Navigator, and then I go to New File. Then I want a Swift file. And again, I'm going to call it UIView Extensions. Here we are in the UIView Extensions.Swift file, and the first thing you'll need to do is import UIKit. To define an extension, you just write the word extension, followed by the name of the type you're extending, and in between curly braces, the methods you'd like to add. The methods we'd like to add are called fadeOut and fadeIn. Here in the fadeOut method, we just want to copy and paste some of the code from that sunrise and set method. So to do that, we go back to our viewcontroller.swift file, and then we want to copy this fadeOut code, this animateWithDuration code, up to but not including the completion block. Once you've got animateWithDuration pasted in, there are a couple snippets of code we need to edit. Here where it says self.imageview.alpha, we want to replace that with self.alpha. Because the object that's calling this code, self, is the object whose alpha needs to change. Next, we need to make sure we're passing in the necessary parameters. So we'll pass the parameters duration, delay, and the completion closure into the fadeOut method. And then we'll pass those parameters again to the animateWithDuration method. So here, instead of 1 second, we'll put duration. Here, instead of a delay of 0 seconds, we'll put delay. And then under completion, we'll put completion. Notice that the animation option, curve ease in, is the same every time fadeOut is called. And so is the animation changing the alpha to 0.